What has been done in the past years, in the past 2 years, I would say. The first meeting of the group took place in Trieste in 2015, in April, and was focusing in defining the functioning aspects, the rules, the procedures, and introduces 6 general criteria to select macro-regional projects. These criteria are listed here, should address priorities and when substantiated needs, well-defined needs, let's say, expressed by the countries and the region and the stakeholders of the area. Demonstrates, of course, a transnational, if not macro-regional impact or scope, be realistic and credible, be built on existing initiative, possibly, of course, and pay attention to cross-cutting aspects, so transversal issues, and be coherent and mutually supportive. The second meeting, which took place in Belgrade in 2015, was mostly dedicated to the prioritization of process of actions and of projects, defining possible specific criteria, and the source of financing available, as well as available databases and involvement of the stakeholders. Not all the countries attended that meeting, which obliged the group to postpone some important decisions. Third meeting took place again in Italy, in Rome, and provided the endorsement of priority actions and sub-actions, shortlisting these priority sub-actions, and provided also at the same time the draft working plan proposal, which was adopted. The fourth meeting took place this year in Belgrade, and there was a preliminary discussion on what it was called the labeling procedures in terms of methodology and task for defining possible specific criteria, and debating on organization of periodical experts workshops. The labeling procedures, as you can see here, is intended to be a tool, a way of working for identifying through a set of general and specific principles and criteria each priority action endorsed by the Thematic Steering Group. This in order to measure the project which can be more supportive, more useful for achieving the list of main objectives of the pillar number 2, which are providing, of course, its contribution to the implementation of the EUSAIR action plan. The endorsed priority action and sub-actions related on transport are listed in this slide. You can see here again the main topics, the one we have already mentioned before, the maritime transport and intermodal connection to the hinterland, which have been translated into priority actions. For instance, for maritime transport, the priority actions are 2, improving and harmonizing traffic monitoring and management. We are talking especially about VTM ES system. The developing ports and optimizing port interfaces, infrastructures and procedures or operations. Whilst the topics, the priority action which are connected with the topic intermodal connection to the internet are the developing the Western Balkans transport network, so the extension of the present TEN-T or main axis of the European Union to the Western Balkans network, developing motorways of the sea, again a topic of great interest for the area, which was one of the topic of the project Adriatic MOS, which is one of the 3 projects we are capitalizing in Captain project. And the other sensitive issue is the cross-border facilitation, which includes all the activities for making more fluent, more problem-free and easy the transport both of freight and passengers through the borders of the area. There are also some cross-cutting issues, you can see also listed here, which are connected with the specific objective of improving the governance and building efficient institutional and administrative capacity. Two priority actions have been chosen to implement this topic. The one related to the removal of barriers for mobilizing cross-border investments in transport networks, and developing joint and lifelong learning plans. So setting up training tools and related methodologies. What are the next steps? As far as we know, understood, the Thematic Steering Group is going to have another meeting, the second meeting of the year in Italy. Hopefully it's going to take place in Trieste in the middle of November. And during the meeting there are some issues which must be discussed by the representative of the various ministries, especially related in defining the most strategic projects which can be used for supporting the implementation of this macro-regional strategy. Here you can see some other issues very much of interest for this year of implementation of the macro-regional strategy, which has to establish a stronger dialogue with other macro-regional strategies, with other important bodies which are already operating in the area. I'm referring especially to the CETO, especially for the Balkans area, and involvement, of course, of the stakeholders in promoting the industrial partnership wherever possible. Last but not least, I will say that also the financing issues is still of great interest. So the mapping of financial instruments is the availability of financial instruments is indeed something which is discussed within this thematic steering group. And one of the instruments, of course, is represented by the territorial cooperation programs, the running territorial cooperation programs. I'm referring especially to the Adrian program, but not only of that, because as you have seen from the presentation of Italy-Croatia cross-border program, also the projects which will be selected in the framework of the Italy-Croatia program should provide some concrete answers to the priority actions of the macro-regional strategy for the Adriatic-Ionian region. And again, everything must be done for also, as I was mentioning before, selecting measures or projects at macro-regional level. This is also quite a sensitive issue. As far as we know, it's something which has still to be agreed and defined in the framework of this thematic steering group. This is pretty much the status quo of the implementation of the pillar number 2. And again, since Captain Project has been selected in a call which was supposed to select projects able to provide some concrete answers to some of the topics which are tackled and faced by the pillar 2 of the macro-regional strategy, that we, as Captain Project, have been trying, and we are in the phase of carrying out some concrete technical activities, and hopefully by the end of the project, which is expected to take place at the end of November, we would like to have some some concrete deliverables which could be of some help to the implementation of this macro-regional strategy, especially to the pillar number 2, to the, or more specifically to the thematic steering group on transport, which is working and will be working in the coming years to make this area more stronger in terms of connectivity, improving and making more easy the transport of freight first, but of passengers as well in the area, in order to improve again the accessibility and the connectivity of this important area. That is all from my side. Should you have any additional or any request or question, I'm available. I would try to give you some answer. Anyway, as you have seen, we are at Friuli Venezia Giulia region very much involved in this implementation, even though it's a process which takes place involving, first of all, the ministries of the area.